So we went on WeBuyAnyCar together. We put in the information on in the office at work, and they came up with a value of, for what? And I was like, what's the £8,000 for? Where the hell out? Kev Knight's here from Vision Prestige. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the video. Hope you're all doing well. So, it's Monday afternoon. Well, it's Monday evening actually. It's just gone 6:30. And I'm about to go home. However, wanted to make this quick video because of a recent, how should we put it? A recent experience that went on here at our little dealership. And it's all down to, the culprit is this right here. Our sign saying that we will happily buy your car, as you can see, when you're driving past here on your way home from work, or if you're local or whatever. It has allowed us to buy some lovely cars from lovely local people. That white BMW X1 came in because of that sign. That little blue Smart 44 in the corner there, which is in prep, also came in because of that sign. It has paid for itself 100 times over. Awesome. And this is why this video was generated, really, because it's actually down to a lovely guy who had a lovely car which was sitting right here, and I'm going to show you some pictures of that as I speak in a moment. So you can see all these lovely people driving along. Look, they're all driving along thinking maybe I'll sell my car to them. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some pictures of a stunning Landrover Defender that was sitting right here from a guy who pulled on here. We had a conversation. He wanted to sell his Defender. And he wanted to sell his Defender. I'll give you a quick description of the car so you can get a rough picture of it in your mind. So, he bought it brand new. He spec'd it, as you can see. He spec'd it with the wheels. He spec'd it with the ladder on the side. He spec'd it with the compressor in the back. He spec'd it with the electronic tow bar. Spec'd it with the black roof bars or the black roof rack, as you can see. It had everything it needed to have on it. It also had 11,000 miles from new. It was a one owner. It had full main dealer service history, and it had just gone over 3 years old. It had extended manufacturer's warranty on it, so it had another year's warranty on the car. It needed nothing at all. I looked around the car. It was absolutely immaculate. It was pristine. There weren't a mark on it. He just had it back to Land Rover for new front brakes because the front brakes had warped even though he hadn't done any miles. They put new front brakes on it under warranty. Well done for them. And that's pretty much where he got to a point of here. He wasn't using it enough. He bought it originally to tow his little boat to his local boat yard. And he said, every time I leave it there, I'm just a bit worried it's going to get damaged. He said, it's too nice for what I need it for. He's got a fleet of other cars. He just didn't need it. So he said, would we buy it? So I tell you what, I've just washed that A3. And I can't have it sitting on the forecourt with orange brakes because the brakes have just got wet. So we'll go for a quick drive in that and we'll carry on the conversation in there. Mic on, safety first. Put my belt on. So I've got black dots all over my face from washing that car. Right, where were we? So I feel like I need to give you a little bit of background value-wise about this car before we go forward. So, because obviously it wasn't a cheap car, we're talking about a car that carried a guide trade value of around about £51,000 to £52,000-ish. Obviously at that sort of value, it's quite a hard car to guide value. They're just guides. You can't buy a car from a guide, but that's roughly what it was saying a trade value was. So between 50 to 52 grand, let's just say that. So we were never going to buy that car, unfortunately. We don't run on a stocking plan. All of the money we use is our own. And not only are my pockets not deep enough to buy that car, my testicles also aren't big enough either. So this guy was a lovely guy. So the way we saw it, we wanted to try and help him out. So we started ringing around our dealers. We're lucky because we've been in it a long time. We're quite lucky to have quite a big network of higher end dealers, shall we say, for this exact situation. So we rung around the first one. The first one usually will buy the car straight away. You know, it's usually just one phone call. We know it's their sort of car. They know if we're putting it onto them, then it's everything they need it to be, and it will usually go to them. Well, long story short, they didn't want it, and they didn't want it for one particular reason. And anyone that knows anything about the modern Land Rover world, I'm going to advise you now that this particular car did have the 2-litre Ingenium diesel engine in it. And yeah, we won't touch them. You know, it doesn't matter how many it doesn't matter how cheap they are. We won't touch them 2-litre Ingeniums. But this one I felt was a very different sort of case. You know, it was an 11,000 mile car. It was a one owner, full main dealer history. It had manufacturer's warranty on it still for a year. It was like brand new. You know, with manufacturer's warranty on it, there isn't really anything you've got to worry about. Yes, it might be a headache if it goes wrong, but you shouldn't be out of pocket. So we didn't think that would be a problem. Well, the first garage we spoke to didn't want it. So then we went to our second garage, who would usually definitely want it if the first one didn't. And he didn't want it either. And we sort of sat down, I sat with Claire, and I was like, the reality of what we're doing here is if these two dealers don't want it, it's probably going to be the same sort of case no matter where we go. So from here, it then ended up going to one of the only sort of places that you can then go to, and it has to go to a buying service, because the reality of selling a 50 grand car privately, it's not going to happen, is it? Is that sun going to be too bright there? So this is where we started suggesting to this lovely gent about the car buying services. Now you've got your fast ones and your slow ones. I would say the fast ones are the likes of WeBuyAnyCar, and the slower ones, if you want to try and get more money, are the likes of Motorway and Carwow. You have to put more effort into it. Yes, you're dealing with people rather than a business, but it swings and roundabouts. You know, the reality of the WeBuyAnyCars, they exist for a convenience feature. They are a convenience business. And if they weren't a convenience business, they wouldn't work. The fact that they're a convenience business means you are going to get less for your car. But that is, if you want to get rid of it quick, sometimes that is the only way that you can do it. So, what we then did, we sat down with the guy and we had a discussion about how much he was willing to accept for this car. He didn't want the car anymore. He wasn't in a rush. He didn't need the money. He didn't need the car to be gone quick. But he'd made up his mind that he didn't want it anymore. So he said that he would accept £49,000 for this car. Now, I looked on our local Land Rover's website and they had the exact same car, lower spec, more miles, for just shy of 60 grand, 59.5 grand it was. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know, there's like the potential of £10,000 profit, gross profit in this car. So it's like, it's already horrendous thinking, why the hell am I not buying it? It's because I couldn't afford it. But these other dealers didn't want it. He then said he'd been to Land Rover and they didn't want the car either. They said potentially there was like a buying freeze or something on like that, which is already a worry. It's probably because it, you know, had an Ingenium engine in it, I don't know. But they didn't want the car either. And I started feeling a bit bad, like not being able to help this guy out. So we went on WeBuyAnyCar together. We put in the information on in the office at work, and they came up with a value of 48.5 grand. And I sort of, now usually you would then have the conversation with the customer, because, you know, all car dealers hate WeBuyAnyCar, because you get people coming in with part exchanges and you offer them a price, and then obviously you get the, well, WeBuyAnyCar have offered me more than that. And then you can tell them they clearly haven't. They haven't seen the car. They're going to dock you £3 million for the fact that you've got curb wheels and a cracked windscreen and rust and this and that. But this just wasn't the case with this car. There wasn't a spot on this car. It was like brand new. The tyres were like new. It had just been serviced. It had just had new front brakes. There wasn't anything on the car anywhere. So I said, take it to them, because the only thing they can dock you is the 75 quid or whatever it is administration fee for putting the money straight into your bank. There is literally nothing else they can take money off for. So that's what he did. We sat down in our office We made the appointment on the PC there, and our local WeBuyAnyCar office is 15 minutes away, and they had an appointment in half an hour. So he made the appointment and off he went up the road. And I'll tell you what, we'll get back to work and we'll carry on this conversation there. There you go, look at that, look, see, look, that's a bit better. Nice shiny brakes again, and oh, we've got to get the watermarks off. That's what it's all about. You've got to get the watermarks off when you wash your car. Can't be then taken and have watermarks all over it. It's not the one, is it? There you go. Anyway, where were we? What I ended up doing, he came out of the office, he disappeared up that road up there, and I said, I said, give me a ring in half an hour if you need a lift back or whatever, I'll come and pick you up. I couldn't really go to the appointment with him because somehow everyone in the motor trade knows me or my nose or face or what. So it probably didn't make a lot of sense me going with him. Although there was nothing untoward at all. I mean, in reality, that was one of the best cars they could have bought profit-wise. So off he went. 30 minutes, 40 minutes came and went, and I didn't hear anything from him. 45 minutes, 50. And then after nearly an hour or so, he gave me a ring. And I sort of ended up straight away saying, how did it go? I can hear you in a car, I'm guessing someone's picked you up. And he said no. He said everything was going how he expected it to be going. He got to his appointment, the salesman came out, looked around his car, and he said it was immaculate. He said he couldn't fault the condition of it at all. So he said as far as he was concerned, everything was going well, and he was going to get his money. Until the salesman then said, I've just got to phone up my boss just to make sure everything is all right, sort of thing. And the owner was lovely. He said, fine, you know, you can do whatever you need to do. And so this is what I've never heard before from WeBuyAnyCar, and I've heard a lot of things from WeBuyAnyCar. He said he phoned up his manager and asked the owner of the car to start the car, pop the bonnet, and put his phone under the bonnet next to the engine. And the owner was a bit confused, but he did what he wanted him to do. And then the other guy on the end of the manager asked him to rev the engine to 2,500 revs, leave it there revving for a little bit, put his phone next to the engine. And this went on for a minute or so. And then this is the most confusing bit I've ever heard, because I listened to that car, I drove the car, as lovely as an Ingenium engine can ever be. That was it. Didn't get any better than that. It didn't make a single sound, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, all the manager said was, I'm not happy with that. I'm going to have to deduct you $8,000 off the suggested value. And for what? And I was like, what's the $8,000 for? And apparently, he said he didn't like the sound of it or something like that. He didn't really give him an answer, but he said the best we can give you is £40,000. So I mean £8,500, I suppose. But and he came back and he still had the car. Now it was like, I felt a bit bad for the guy because I just couldn't help him out, which I can usually place a car somewhere. Just so you know, he ended up getting rid of it to another dealer for a little bit less money, but it went somewhere. But I've just never heard WeBuyAnyCar do something like that before, because I was being honest. There is no way that he couldn't have got his $48,500. There was nothing wrong with the car, and yet somehow they still got out of that one. So I mean, are they just? I know the likes of Motorway and people like that, I know they're putting big reserves on cars to get people onto their platform and to suck people in, and the reality is they're not getting that. You know, dealers are phoning up and cutting their values down and that sort of stuff. But I didn't see how WeBuyAnyCar could do it, and clearly that's how, I mean, I need to hear your stories if you've got stories like this, because I found it quite interesting. I hope that you did, but I just want to know what has gone on in this world with the likes. So I don't know, I just thought I'd tell you. It seemed interesting to me. Hit that subscribe button if you like what's going on. Give us a thumbs up, hit that notifications button. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye bye bye.